So Car Dealer put out a story the other day, and I started reading the headlines, and then I looked into it a little bit, and honestly, I'm dismayed. I just feel like everybody is lying to dealers in order to try and get them to start selling EVs. And I'm really starting to think that they really want you to lose money so that they lose less. That's the only thing it can be, because if they were giving you sound advice, they would be telling you to sell ICE vehicles. That's what they'd be telling you. I'm just going to try and prove it here. So today is the 27th of February. 2 days' time, new registration will be coming out. They're still pre-registering EVs in February, when it will devalue. Simply just by being 2 days old, the car will be worth £1,000 less at least, because it'll have the old plate on. And then of course, the ones that they pre-registered in January, they'll go down too. The ones they pre-registered in December on New Year's Eve, New Year's EVs, as I call them, they'll go down massively, because they'll be the old plate and last year's car. They are killing the motor trade. And not only that, I can tell you now that you say, or you're thinking, this ZEV mandate is supposedly working, but what is actually happening is that dealers are being penalised, and they've got to do the ZEV mandate, otherwise they don't get the bonuses. That's why they're pre-registering all these EVs, because they can't afford not to, and then they just get in a hole. There's Ian Plummer's smiling face. Supply EVs and how dealers can use tech to succeed on Car Dealer Live agenda. Auto Trader reveals key topics for its Car Dealer Live session. So let me see, they've got an interest in cars now on the leasing company, which was specifically set up with the unique selling point of selling EVs. How's that going? They sell tech, data, so they want to talk about that. So basically, they want to talk about what's good for them, not what's good for you. They're trying to convince you that using their tech is good for you, and also probably selling EVs will be good for you, but it's not. I'm telling you it's not. Book your tickets to the big event online now at cardealerlive.co.uk. Watch Auto Trader's Ian Plummer chat about his session above. I'd rather watch paint dry. This is by James Baggott on February the 16th, 2026. To be honest, I've just left it I've left it a bit, because it actually annoys me to see this headline. Let's use data. Supply EVs and how dealers can use tech to succeed on Car Dealer Live agenda. Well, let's use tech and data and EV supply to show you how, if you take their advice, you will go down the plug hole quickly. The fight for supply, electric cars and using technology to dealers' advantages will be top of the agenda at a special session at Car Dealer Live. Headline sponsors Auto Trader are set to deliver their take on the challenges and opportunities for the year ahead with the help of special guests. Auto Trader's Ian Plummer said, "We're bringing together a small panel to focus on some key outlook themes that we believe retailers would do well to concentrate on in 2026 and beyond. Things that, might just benefit us too." There are some big challenges facing everyone at the moment, and you're putting bigger challenges in the way too. The key is turning those challenges into opportunities and strengths where possible. At the moment, you're turning those challenges into selling your products, from what I can see. Car Dealer Live, sponsored by Auto Trader, takes place on March the 19th at the British Motor Museum in Gaydon. Plummer explains in his video interview above, that's on Car Dealer, the 3 key themes he'll be chatting about at the event. He said the first is the fight for supply. There's been a lot of talk about the fallow years of 2020, 2021 and 2022 and how they're now flowing through the car park. That's affecting franchise retailers as well as independents. Sourcing is a real challenge. Well, I would say sourcing is not a real challenge. I would say for the franchise dealers, they're all bunged up with EVs that they've had to pre-register to get the bonus, which is what I was saying about a short while ago. So their used car stocking loan is used up with new cars that have counted as registration, so they get the bonus, but they're now used. They're not selling too fast. They're having to give them away and basically lose money. And also the worst thing is that when you lose money on a car that's on a stocking loan, when you sell it, it costs you money to get rid of it. Whereas you're only paying a few pounds, I don't know, a day or a week, when it's just sat there in stock. You hemorrhage like £1,000, £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 when you sell it, and it comes off your bottom line. Some cleverer sales managers will be looking as and when they actually blow their EVs out, when they've got some income coming in, busy times of the year, March and September. Only two busy times of the year, really, the new plate changes. So strategies involved. They can't even sell the vehicles when they want to. I mean, I've actually heard that EV targets have been relaxed for dealers. We're only in February. They already know they're not going to hit the target for the first quarter. Not by proper means, not by sales. So the manufacturers are relaxing targets. I think they've had enough. I think they're just going to turn around and say, look, stick your ZEV mandate up your backside. That's what they should have done right at the beginning. No, we're not doing it. Sourcing is a real challenge. But hang on a second, EVs are flying off the shelves. There's any amount of EVs. So why aren't they buying EVs? It's not a challenge, is it, sourcing? If you want EVs, you can go out today, buy as many as you want. However much money you've got, you can buy EV stock. The second theme is how used electric is going mainstream. We've seen EV sales grow quickly across both new and used over the past year. No, the new ones, they're giving them away. The used ones, they're giving them away even more and hiding the true discounts on new electric vehicles by selling them as used, where they don't technically show up. That's what they're doing. Used sales are supposed to be up 45%, whereas what's actually happening is the same used cars are being turned over and over again. 3 and 4 owners, new one, new sale, used sale, and then within the 12 months they're being sold again. And used EVs, the amount of owners on used EVs, I tried to get freedom of information out of the DVLA, but it would seem that they're complicit too, and they don't want anybody to know what's really going on. All they want is the gobshites to keep pumping out crap about EVs, hoping it'll stick. But they don't want people like me to tell the truth about what's really happening. Just stupid stories. And they all pile on. Oh yeah, that's good news. The Clown's Mate Intelligence Unit. Oh, positive headline. Whereas if that had been about ICE cars, he'd have delved into that and seen what absolute crap, what garbage, and how they've skewed the figures. How they've claimed that batteries last longer than you think. But the majority of the cars they've tested are 3 and 4 years old. How can you get a headline that batteries last longer than you think when they only, they're up here? They've put a couple of older ones in so they can take the median and skew the figures like that too. Dirty, dirty tricks. Us car dealers, I mean, to be fair, there's quite a few with university degrees now, but in the old days, a car dealer was somebody who was fairly streetwise, but not very clever. You know, before calculators came in, we used to have a we used to have a book which told you halves and thirds, so you could fill in an HP document, and you couldn't Tipex anything out. So every time you filled in an HP document by hand, if you made a mistake, start again. No crossings out, no initials. So it was hard work, and you could guarantee you started filling an HP document out, a customer would come in, you'd lose your train of thought, put the wrong figure down in the wrong place, and then have to start again. Anyway, hard life, innit? Used EVs are now priced at, or even slightly below, parity with their petrol equivalents because they suffer from catastrophic depreciation. That is not a good thing. Big red light there. They cost more, second-hand are now worth less. Oh, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing for used buyers. No, it's not a good thing, because it's a better thing for used buyers if used vehicles hold the price, because then it costs you less to run. It costs the new guy who bought it new, costs him less to run. If he starts losing a packet on a new EV, he's not going to buy a new one again. And then there's not going to be any cheap second-hand ones. So who do you think is going to have to make them second-hand? Not owners, not people buying them. The dealers are having to make them second-hand. All I say in my videos, when I'm editing them, I try and cut as many, that's rubbish, that's garbage, that's crap. Because that's all I seem to say. But that's what it is. It's crap. It's spin. It's not the truth. That's attracting a lot of interest. It's not. Let me prove it to you. Don't believe me. Let me prove it to you. If it was attracting a lot of interest, there wouldn't be a net gain in electric vehicles. On Auto Trader, they're telling you to use tech and data, but they've got it all in front of them and they don't use it to tell you what's really going on. And I'll show you. The third is turning tech promise into profit. It's easy to be dazzled by some of the solutions put in front of us. We're all guilty of buying gadgets that look attractive, but the key is converting that promise into real profit. Right, okay, let's have a look at Auto Trader. Let's see what's going on, or let's try and see what's going on. We go to Auto Trader. There's 435,456 cars at the moment, and we know that's down a heck of a lot since all the Auto Trader, since they tried to force their deal builder on dealers, and they all voted with their feet. That's down a lot. Used cars are down a lot. Used ICE cars are down a lot, but do you know what? Used EVs are up a lot. Now, if we go to electric cars, 44,615. 44,615. 44,615 divided by 411,576%. Nearly 11% of the vehicles on Auto Trader, new and used vehicles on Auto Trader, there's 435,456. If we go to electric vehicles, there's 44,615. So 44,615 divided by 435,456%, 10.245% of all the vehicles on Auto Trader are now electric vehicles. But sales don't make up that much. Let's just have a further look. There's 411,576 used vehicles on Auto Trader. So we go into used cars, we go into the filters, fuel, 38,666 used. 38,666 divided by 411,576%. 9.39% of the used vehicles on Auto Traders are now EVs. EVs only make up 3.5% of the market. So there's nearly 3 times more EVs on there than are actually needed. They're actually wanted. And that's from Auto Traders figures. That's just from their main page. But what's worse, today, February 27th, 435,456. And then we'll go to way back, 2026. Let's just go back to 2025. And then we'll have a look. Here we go. October the 14th. October the 14th, there was 455,456. Today, there's 446,015 new and used cars total on Auto Trader. So it's down over 10,000. The whole amount is down over 10,000. We'll go back to today, and then we'll just put electric in. We'll take electric, copy that, go back to time machine, electric, that's 2026, we'll go to 2025, and then we'll go back to October. Oh, the nearest one there is October the 20th. So we'll go to October the 20th. $29,460 cars. EVs are up 50% in the same time that Auto Traders' actual total amount has gone down. So ICE cars have gone down by 10,000 and EVs have gone up because they're outpacing demand, which is why they're dropping. Oh, but buyers, they can't be dropping because they're the fastest selling vehicles. They're flying off the shelves. Let's have a look at that theory too. Okay, so one of the biggest Car 360 used EV specialists, expert EV buying made simple. Find my EV. Let's just look at them on Auto Trader. They're showing 355 cars advertised on Auto Trader. Then what we'll also do, we'll get rid of the sort there is high to low. We don't want that. We want recent because we want to know if we're buying an EV, you need to buy a recent one. Because if you don't buy a recent one, then you're already behind. You can't negotiate a good deal because the dealer's already got that stuck up his backside. Here we go. Listed yesterday, 26th of the 2nd. Good price. That's a great price, that one. That was listed the day before. That's a great price. Let's just see. So don't forget Auto Trader are selling tech and data. And that's how you can make your money, buying their tech and data and getting the price right. Making sure you're buying right and you're selling at the right price. So Car 360, who've got probably, I don't know, have they got more EVs than anybody else? They've priced that at £887 below market average. So they're selling that for nearly £1,000 less than Auto Trader say they should be. That's where they've started. My old boss used to say, you can always go down, but you can never go up. So, already at a great price. Another great price. But you see there, this has already gone down. They've already knocked it down. That's how fast. It's like mercury. The market is like mercury. Already down £267 in a day. That one there, down 838. It's dropped 1% in 3 days. And then it just starts getting worse. 26, that's down £1,249. These have only been advertised for a couple of days. Let's take a trip to the bottom, which is where EVs are going. They're on the slippy slope as soon as they drive off the transporter. 9th of the 10th, 2024. They've had that in stock since. It's only 9.5 grand. It's dropped 1,500 quid. Lower price. Let's see what Auto Trader think that Car 360 should be selling this car at. They're selling this at £510. Is that 5% below? They're selling it at £510 below market average. They've had it in stock since the 9th of 10th, 2024. And this one here down £590 since 23rd of 7th, 2025. Not too bad, I don't suppose. But it's 12 grand. This one down £5,542. They've had it since August 2025. Down £5,542. They've had it since August 2025. Down £5,314. Down £2,700. Down £9,217. Down £3,300. Down £3,121. Down £2,706. Down £2,552. Down £3,803. Down £3,069. Down £2,737. Down £6,599. EVs are going mainstream. They're not. They're increasing in numbers on Auto Trader when it looks like everything else is going down. They're telling you there's a shortage of stock, but EVs are going up. They're like sirens trying to draw you onto the rocks. Don't pay for tech. Don't pay for data. Get Auto Trader Price Tracker. Do your homework like this. This tells you better than Cap, better than Auto Trader, better than the other stupid car valuation services that are coming out. Let's just have a look at this. Lower price, what is it? It's a Cupra Born. That's been reduced by £2,747 in 4 months. They're advertising it at a lower price. Auto Trader think that Car 360 should be selling that at £857 more, but they haven't sold it in 4 months at less money. The other funny thing about Auto Trader is they used to tell us all the time, cars that are slightly more expensive sell faster than cars that are too cheap, because people think there's something wrong with cars that are too cheap. Then they brought out another part to Dealer Portal, and as soon as you started, tells you how many days you would be expected to sell it at that price, and then as soon as you reduced it, they expected you to sell it faster. So for years they were preaching stuff that people knew wasn't true. Then their artificial intelligence told you a completely different story. Forget the tech, forget EVs. Certain ones will sell. They're a bargain. They really are a bargain. But I was looking round the local area. I went for a drive around the local area. I had my laptop with me. I looked at the price that the people had got these EVs on. Then I looked on Auto Trader, found them, saw how long they'd had them in, saw how much they'd reduced them by. And then you look at how much does it cost them for advertising, how much does it cost for them for stocking, how much does it cost them by not being able to sell it when they could have turned it over with another car, so how much profit they've lost. EVs are a millstone, in my opinion. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.